The following program, The Lightning Strike, is sponsored by Mohammed Fahim, and to the extent applicable, their guests. The views and opinions expressed therein do not necessarily reflect those of NewsWeb Radio Company or its management.
Get ready to be jolted out of the ordinary and into a world where conversations are charged with intensity and facts. The Lightning Strike Talk Radio with your host, Mohammed Fahim, broadcasting live from the heart of the city on Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio, WCPT 820 AM. Welcome to a radio show that charges through the airwaves with an electricity like no other. Here's your host, Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, Chicago, and a good rainy morning. Finally, we got some rain in the Chicagoland area, and thank you all for tuning in. You are tuned in to the Lightning Strike. I'm your host, Mohammed Fahim. We come every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 on WCPT, Chicago's Progressive Talk Radio station. Joining me today are my co-host, Reed Bible.
Good morning.
Ken DeLuke.
Howdy, folks.
And Dr. Sheila White.
Good morning, team.
And Sheila will be bringing in our Person of the Week to join us in just a couple of seconds. Maria Mozaffar is not joining us today. She is traveling outside. But again, folks, so much to cover, so little time. I would definitely encourage you to follow us online by going to the Facebook page that we have for WCPT and also for the Lightning Strike. And I am going to talk a little bit today about the continuing onslaught on our democracy by foreign countries and their agents over here who are actually not registered as foreign agents. And I'm pretty sure that you recognize who I'm talking about, those who shall not be named, because now we are coming up with all kinds of laws in our country threatening us that if we name a foreign country that is running our country, we are going to be booked for all kinds of anti-this and anti-that. Ken DeLuke will be throwing some light on what is happening with the not happening thing, right? It was there for a second. It is not there for a second. It has never been there. Ken will be diving deep into the Epstein files and this kind of taking us around the bush by the current administration is remarkable and laughable. And Reed Bible, with his expertise, is going to be talking about also the continuing assault on our democracy and our institutions, especially by Tom Homan, who is actually not a federal employee, but is running the Department of ICE now. And Carl Moose will also be joining us today to talk about some of the scientific things that are happening in our country. And on that note, I would like to bring in Dr. Sheila White. Dr. White, good morning.
Good morning. Good morning. I'm really excited to bring our special Person of the Week. This is going to be a bright part of the morning. His name is James Williams, and I would like to have Reed Bible, my co-host, introduce him. They've been friends for a number of years, so this is the cherry on the cake for us as our guest on today. So, Reed, I'll give you the honors of introducing our special guest today. You guys have been friends for a number of years.
Good morning, Sheila, and good morning, audience. I am very pleased that you selected him as a Person of the Week for this segment. I have rarely run into such a caring person as James Williams. You know, he retired several years back as Executive Assistant Director for the Jesse Brown Veterans Hospital, which is just kind of indicative of the kind of altruism he has shown throughout his life. And since that time, he has done nothing but gotten involved with all kinds of community service work. In particular, and talk about food insecurity as a volunteer in this area, as well as being a big brother and working in homeless shelters. He's just, I can't praise him enough. We need more like him across America. And so it's my great pleasure to introduce you to my good friend, Mr. James Williams.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Williams.
Good morning,
Thank
Jim.
you so much for joining us.
So, James, tell us what you do. Okay. Again, good morning. I have been retired for about 15 years, and as Reed said, I worked at Jesse Brown VA Medical Center, and through a friend at work, told me about some volunteer work that he was doing with Feed My Starving Children. And I wanted to know more about that organization because I was worried that I wasn't going to have anything to do during retirement. So I started about a month after I retired at Feed My Starving Children. We go there about once a week, but we alternate with another charity because Ed and I live about 40 miles apart. We do one on my end, and then we do one on his end to cut down on travel. But Feed My Starving Children is a great organization. They are primarily self-sufficient. They operate on donations. And all of the work is done by volunteers. Most of the work, I'll say, is done by volunteers. We go there for a 2.5-hour session every other Wednesday. The other area that I volunteer is the Pilsen Immigration Center. It's a food bank, and they have clothing as well. So we do that one once a week, every other week. We've seen quite a bit of change over the past couple of months occurring at Pilsen. The first thing that happened shortly after President Trump took over, the next session that we went to, now keeping in mind that we normally serve about 300 families on that day, and the first week that it was announced that ISIS would be in Chicago, that number fell to about 65 clients. And lots of them called and just said that, was there any other way that we could arrange for them to get food? We cover a large Latin American area, and we're also very close to Chinatown, so we have a large Asian population as well. What they've done at Pilsen is they have arranged to have food delivery. Now, we're actually out recruiting drivers and young people. Right now, it's good because school is out, and we have a lot of high school and college students that come in that need the volunteer hours. So things are going well in that respect. We're able to get in there and pack up food. And, just to give an example, this past Wednesday, we were able to deliver 75 packages of food to various areas. And we're also getting an increase in the number of private donations there.
James,
and with some,
want to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you?
They can contact me. My number is area code 630-605-4764.
Okay, folks, and that's James Williams, and he's doing a wonderful job over here in the Chicagoland area. And if you want to get in touch with him, the number to get in touch with him is 630-605-4764. Thank you, Reed, and thank you, Sheila, for bringing in such great guests. We'll take a quick break, and we'll be right back after this.
Calling all residential and commercial property owners. If you're like me, you're sick and tired of paying high electric bills, which, by the way, are on the rise. You're also probably unaware of the federal, state, and utility incentives that you qualify for. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. Again, 630-785-0031. Give Greenlight a call for a no-cost, no-obligation energy assessment, and we'll show you which federal, state, and utility incentives you qualify for. Again, 630-785-0031. Give us a call, 630-785-0031.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to the Lightning Strike. Your host, Mohammed Fahim, here with my co-host, Ken DeLuke, Dr. Sheila White, Read Bible, and Carl Moose. Maria Muzaffar is not joining us today. She is traveling. And as promised, last week we spoke a lot about AIPAC and how they are buying our Congress people and our senators. And I gave out some names and some numbers, including Hakeem Jeffries, Chuck Schumer, Kathy Hochul, Tom Suzy, Laura Gillen, Pat Ryan, Josh Riley, Richie Torres. The thing goes on and on, folks. But one of the things that people are not aware of, or not really too much aware of, is the American Israel Education Foundation, AIEF. And if you have not heard the name, here it is for you. Now, this is the charitable arm affiliated with AIPAC, America's pro-Israel lobby, right, which is not really registered as a lobby. Okay. So AIPAC has got this AIEF arm, which actually is funding all of these educational, quote-unquote, tours. And that's all they do. It's the Educational Foundation, their work is limited to funding educational tours for our leaders to come. And the only country that they go to for the educational tours is Israel. Now, since 2012, this foundation, which is affiliated with AIPAC, has sponsored trips to Israel for hundreds of U.S. lawmakers and their staff folks. More than a quarter of the roughly 4,100 privately sponsored foreign trips by House members and staff since 2012 were to Israel, with the vast majority of them funded by AIEF. Now, what do they do when they go there? They go and they visit all over the place. They meet with the military people. They meet with the elected representatives in Israel. They meet with the president of Israel also. And in specific years recently, as many as 81 members of Congress have traveled to Israel in a single August. Now, you can take it for what it is worth, but House members have made nearly 1,400 trips to Israel, Ken, in recent years. This is nearly all funded by AIEF. Now, why are we allowing our House members to go and visit and being funded by this organization, which is so totally owning our Congress people and our senators? This is unconscionable, folks. The Senate, being smaller, has reported over 2,600 trips by its members and staff worldwide since 2012. There's no really public disclosure records to consistently specify the sponsors, but it is widely acknowledged that a substantial portion of Senate trips to Israel are also funded by AIEF. That is something that should give us pause, because what is continuously happening now in Gaza is this continued expansion of the Israeli attacks on Gaza. They have issued a new evacuation order now for thousands of Palestinians living in central Gaza. Where the heck are they supposed to go, folks? They are targeting the city of Deir al-Balah now and ordering residents and displaced people in tents to move south to Al-Mawasi area. Israel claims that this is to expand operations against Hamas militants, right? But the area is considered a safe zone, has itself been subjected to repeated airstrikes. And by the way, let us not forget that it is our money and our arms that is helping with this genocide that is going on over there. I am so ticked off with this. That's the only word that I can use on the air. I'm speechless. Reed, I want your take on this.
Well, Mohammed, pretty much all the world scholars who have specialized in the history of genocide in this world have agreed that this is genocide that is being perpetrated in Gaza, and it's spilling over into the West Bank as well. And there's no question but that we are providing funding and weaponry to this horrendous activity on the part of Netanyahu. I'm not going to say that all the citizens of Israel are for this, because I know they're not. It is their
Absolutely
government
not.
that is doing
I totally agree with you, Reed. It's not all of Israel, because there's been multiple demonstrations in Israel by Jewish people against the programs of Netanyahu and his cohorts. The Zionists have taken over the power in the country. The people of Israel are not to blame for that.
Exactly.
Well, I mean, let's be serious here. The only reason why this is going on is because Netanyahu doesn't want to go to jail. Okay, so as long as he can keep the conflict going, that keeps him out of going to the pokey.
You're absolutely right, Ken, and I understand that this week they had to not dismiss but adjourn his hearing, Netanyahu's hearing, for his alleged corruption because he perpetrated some more of this stuff, this time going into Syria and bombing there. So they try to unite as a country whenever they are involved in international conflicts of warfare. Temporarily, they put aside their domestic issues so that this hostility can be handled by their heads of state. And Netanyahu knows this very well, and he consistently, like you're mentioning, gets involved in this stuff to keep delaying what's the inevitable prosecution of him that probably is going to wind up in a conviction sooner or later. But he keeps pushing it off by engaging in warfare and genocide, and he's being monstrous. And there is international arrest warrant out for him issued by the International Criminal Court. So this is probably criminal activity on his part, and we are complicit in it. Our government is complicit in this.
And unfortunately, we are not supposed to talk about it. And any time that you bring up this thing, oh, you're anti-Semitic. Well, let's not forget that Netanyahu's last name is Kowalski or something like that. He was his father was not even born over there, or he was not even born in Israel. These guys have come in from Poland and Russia and other places and claiming to be Semites, where actually the people that have been born there in Palestine, including the Christians and the Jews and the Muslims, those are the real Semites. And by the way, let us not forget that Israel recently bombed the only Catholic church remaining in Gaza. And this is absolutely horrendous that they are bombing churches, they are bombing universities, hospitals, and at least 32 Palestinians were killed on Saturday, folks, like a day back, just trying to get food. Nearly 900 Gazans have been killed in recent weeks. This is unconscionable, and we should not allow this to happen on our watch. Because remember, folks, today history is not written by some people and read by many. Today's history is being written by social media and people like us every single day. And tomorrow when we grow up, our children grow up and we grow old, they're going to come back and ask us, Dad, Mom, what did you do when this was happening on your watch? Let us not keep quiet, folks. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be back with Read Bible, throwing some more light on how the media in our country now is trying to, the government is trying to shut down and control the media. We'll take a quick break and be back on the other side of the break. If you want to join the conversation, please start dialing now. We do have phone lines open, 773-763-9278.
calling all residential and commercial property owners. If you're like me, you're sick and tired of paying high electric bills, which, by the way, are on the rise. You're also probably unaware of the federal, state, and utility incentives that you qualify for. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. Again, 630-785-0031. Give Greenlight a call for a no-cost, no-obligation energy assessment, and we'll show you which federal, state, and utility incentives you qualify for. Again, 630-785-0031. Give us a call, 630-785-0031.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Lightning Strike. The number to call in if you want to join the conversation is 773-763-9278. We come every Sunday morning from 9 to 10 on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk radio station. You can also listen to us live on the heartlandsignal.com website, nationwide and all over the world. And you can also listen to us on the Facebook page for WCPT and interact with us if you want to make any comments or suggestions. You can also text us on that number, 773-763-9278. Read Bible, take it over.
Well, team, I want to, for a couple of minutes, talk to our listeners about this disconcerting rise of the Trump state media. That's what I'm going to call it. You know, a free and open press is one of the greatest threats to an authoritarian ruler. Control of the media is always a priority for any authoritarian. Authoritarians want to control and they want to manipulate public perception by taking over the media. And Trump is attempting to do just that by using classic authoritarian strategies like legal crackdowns in the form of defamation lawsuits. He also is using censorship, using excuses like national security or withholding of information in the name of protecting the public from false information. I've also seen him urging independent journalists to be removed and replaced with loyalists. He's weaponized Trump-biased media like Fox and OAN to do propaganda against objective journalism, and he is withholding of government subsidies or tax benefits now from broadcast educational services that produce documents that might be a little critical of his policies. And this week, we had the rescission of $1.1 billion in federal subsidies to the Corporation for Public Broadcasting at the behest of Trump. And this is just another example of the strategies that he's using. NPR and PBS will be suffering what might now turn out to be a devastating blow. Among the victims will be the public, who will be deprived of educational programs, informative documents, news, and great cultural entertainment. So it's bye-bye Big Bird, unfortunately, and House Speaker Mike Johnson is gleeful about this threat to the continued existence of PBS and NPR, as he's characterized them as being, quote, politically biased media, and he doesn't want federal tax dollars supporting it anymore. And now the latest turn of events, of course, again, happened this week when we saw more of the rise of the state media, when Trump when he's been attacking CBS, ABC, the Wall Street Journal, MSNBC, even the Voice of America, among other news outlets. In the case of CBS and Paramount this week, Trump sued them for $20 billion and got a settlement from CBS for a much lesser amount. He got $16 million he's going to get out of Paramount. And why did he sue them? because he said they were engaged in deceptive conduct when they edited an interview they did last year with Kamala Harris on 60 Minutes. I guess Trump got his feelings hurt despite the fact that he won the election. And so why did CBS and Paramount cave into him? Because Paramount wants to merge with Skydance Media, and their executive chairwoman of Paramount, which used to be called, by the way, Viacom, CBS, wants to transfer its CBS broadcasting licenses over to Skydance, and to be able to have that approved by the FCC, they have to have the blessing of Donald Trump. So thus, they caved in, gave him this bribe, this $16 million bribe, and for good measure, they kicked in the termination of The Late Show with Stephen Colbert. He's getting fired, folks, next May, and they claim that's due to financial reasons. But the Colbert Show is
which is kind of amazing, Reed, because that's the highest rated, talk show in the country. So for financial reasons, obviously that was like all BS. And like, I love Stephen Colbert. The guy's phenomenal, So I'm sure he'll land feet somewhere, and it's going to demise that he does.
Yeah, a lot of people are listening to the Late Show comedians because those are the people that are actually speaking the truth now. And you know what? When I look at Caroline Levitt over there with the White House press briefings, she kind of reminds me of the person that was representing Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War. You remember that? I don't remember the guy's name, but he would come out and say, "There's nothing happening, folks. There are no troops on the ground over here." Meanwhile, you will see American soldiers marching in the background.
Baghdad Bob. Yeah.
Baghdad Bob, yeah. Caroline Levitt now is becoming a big joke. She is spouting so much nonsense over there in the press conferences. It's going to come back and bite them, folks. Don't you forget it. And Reed, to continue the conversation that you started out, it also goes back to educational institutions now. Harvard's lawyers are in the court today talking about the funding that is being chopped out of Harvard Business School now. And Trump has threatened a lot of educational institutions. Again, the obvious thing that they are trying to say is, these institutions have anti-Semitic this and anti-Semitic that. They're trying to take away the DEI status. Jewish students are being threatened. Meanwhile, Jewish students are coming out and saying, no one threatened us. And this is the game plan, folks. It is all part of Project 2025, going back to last year when Ken and I were discussing this. Reed was not in the team at that time, but Ken and I and Congressman Murray Newman and John Arena, we have had multiple discussions on Project 2025 that people were not really aware of, and now this thing is actually coming to fruition in front of our eyes, which is...
And Mohammed, it's not, I'm sorry, Mohammed, it's not even just limited to broadcast news. He's going after cable. He's going after newspapers. He's going after MSNBC and the Washington Post. Bezos is doing his work by changing their editorial policies, where they got rid of that political column called the Federal Insider, because supposedly he had some kind of a philosophical epiphany that we're not going to criticize politicians anymore. We're just going to focus on civil liberties and on free markets. And he also told his newspaper to not do their endorsement of Kamala Harris last year for president. So it's to me, it's just more indicative that we have the rise of state media. And I just want to tell the folks out there that a free and open press is one of the greatest threats to posed by authoritarian rule. I mean, it's one of the greatest threats to authoritarian rule, and control of the media is always a priority of authoritarians. So please be mindful that the fourth estate is rapidly becoming state media, Trump state media.
And that is something that we are trying to fight back over here, folks. This is Resistance Radio, and we'd like you to support us by going to our website, tlschicago.com. See how you can be a part of this continuous effort that we are trying to do over here. And thank you also to WCPT for allowing us to have this voice on the air. And let's switch back topics a little bit now and talk about what the heck is happening with Epstein, Ken.
Yeah. By the way, I just want to give a shout out to Patty Vasquez. She does Driving at Home with Patty Vasquez every weekday between 5 and 7 p.m. If you haven't heard her, she did do a promotion for us on our show, so returning the favor. But, yeah, it's kind of like I am so excited about what happened this week. I mean, for all the reasons in the world that, there's a crack in the MAGA environment. I mean, people are actually barbecuing their MAGA hats because of this Epstein thing that's come. Conspiracy theories, and people were buying into it. And now, as like the Wizard of Oz, don't look behind the curtain, type of thing that Trump's doing, he's getting some serious feedback. So basically, what I just want to say is that now that the MAGA verse is being disrailed because of Epstein, but whatever it takes, now there's a crack in that veneer. There is an awakening that the great orange idol may not be the second coming. And maybe by chance, Trumpism may not be in your own best interest. So I just wanted to share a few points that now that you see there is a dim light at the end of the tunnel, I just wanted to share with you, if you happen to be listening and you're a MAGA guy, things that you should think about. Because now, if you've opened up that door, these are things that could be important, okay? First of all, ending birthright citizenship. The 14th Amendment, folks. I mean, it's so clear that if you're born in this country, you are a U.S. citizen, okay? The immigration enforcement, they're advocating over $100 billion to immigration and customs enforcement for detention, deportation, and surveillance. Border security, they want to rebuild this, beautiful wall. They're increasing the fees on immigrant services to where it's like $1,000 minimum just to apply in order to do it. They're suspending refugee admissions programs. So if you're in a country that is, you're in fear for your life, where it's a worldwide, treaty that we're supposed to bring people in if they have legitimate refugee status. They're trying to eliminate that. Now let's go to what I'm really into is the environmental stuff. They want to withdraw from the Paris Climate Agreement. That's freaking nuts. They want to go and drill in the Arctic. Okay, 16 million acres that they just want to blow away in the Arctic for drilling. The fossil fuel production, they're mandating new oil and gas leases on federal lands, offshore areas, and giving tax advantages for those producers. Renewable energy, they want to phase out clean electric investment production tax credits for wind and solar projects by 2027. What are you, nuts? The coal industry, they're mandating that they want to add federal land mining, reduce royalties, allowing for tax credits on, for that. They want to halt on all. Maybe there's a seagull that gets beat up on a windmill. For windmills and take them offline. For what purpose? It's just clean energy. Okay. They want to declare a national energy emergency. Okay. So, I mean, it's just terminating the DEI programs. Now, DEI, okay, understand this. This doesn't say that if you are at a position where, they're going to give somebody who's less qualified than you that job. That's not what DEI is all about. All it says, if they have the same qualifications you got, that you have, they will give them a chance to actually have that job, and give some preference there to make up for the discrepancies that have been in the past. Okay, they want to put a freeze on federal hiring. They want to, foreign policy. They want to withdraw from the World Health Organization. I mean, like what? Measles incidents have gone up by over 5,000 now, and it used to be thought that measles was eradicated because we got this health secretary that's a freaking nut job. And then on top of it, they plan on destroying 500 metric tons of taxpayer-funded emergency food that the State Department has, there. I mean, two of these, these bars that they have could actually keep someone from starving to death. They figure there's over 130,000 people that have died already because these biscuits, these ration biscuits, are just sitting in a warehouse, and they're going to have to destroy them because they're going to hit their expiration date. Okay, they want to be part of the January 6th rioters. Okay, they're just a bunch of great guys doing whatever they're doing. He wants to rename the Gulf of Mexico. I mean, come on, folks. There are things that are important to your life, to my life, to everyone's, your kids, your grandkids. Important. Now that you see that he's not the all and be all, it's time to start taking what's important to you seriously and moving forward and voting in your best interest.
Absolutely.
That's my rant for the day.
Folks, midterms are coming up. Let's not forget about it, and let's make sure that our voice is heard. And the first thing that you need to do is to go out and get registered, and then start following us on the Lightning Strike to learn about the current things that are happening in the country, who to follow, who not to follow, who to vote for, and what to know about these candidates, and how to hold them accountable. That is the most important thing. We have to hold our elected representatives accountable for their actions. They are supposed to represent us. They're not supposed to repress us. And let's not forget it, that most of them, and I have had this number in the past, last week, I have already gone through this with you, that most of them have been bought and sold by lobbyists and other PACs. And that is something that should not be allowed in our country, folks. And the only way that we can do it is by taking power back for the people, by going out and voting for the right people. We'll take our final quick ad break and be back on the other side of the break with Carl Moose to see what the heck is happening in the scientific world that we need to be aware of.
Calling all residential and commercial property owners. If you're like me, you're sick and tired of paying high electric bills, which, by the way, are on the rise. You're also probably unaware of the federal, state, and utility incentives that you qualify for. Take out a piece of paper and a pen and write down this number, 630-785-0031. Again, 630-785-0031. Give Greenlight a call for a no-cost, no-obligation energy assessment, and we'll show you which federal, state, and utility incentives you qualify for. Again, 630-785-0031. Give us a call, 630-785-0031.
Injured in an accident? Ticketed for DUI or traffic violations? You need Riz Injury Law on your side. Attorney Riz Ali fights for you, specializing in auto accidents, medical malpractice, slip and falls, traffic tickets, DUI and DWI. Call 312-546-5109 now. That's 312-546-5109. One more time, 312-546-5109. Your story matters, and Riz Injury Law will fight to make sure you get justice. Visit RizInjuryLaw.com or stop by 35 East Wacker Drive, Suite 650 in Chicago, Illinois, 60601. That's Riz Injury Law. Justice, compensation, results. Call 312-546-5109.
Welcome back to the Lightning Strike with Mohammed Fahim.
Good morning, folks. Welcome back to Lightning Strike. It's a nice, rainy Sunday morning out there. Finally, we got some rain, man. My lawn was like so dry. If you throw a piece of tinder on it, the whole place would have burned down. And I'm so glad for the rain, and also for the benefit, for the privilege of living in a free country like we have. And let us continue to fight for our freedom every single day, because people out there are bent on taking away our freedoms. Carl Moose, good morning.
Good morning, you guys. It's been great listening in, a great conversation. And I want to talk a little bit about what we were talking about earlier about the media and news and controlling that, because you're right. I mean, part of our Constitution is freedom of the press, right, and for information to flow. So today, from a technology standpoint, I want to talk about edge computing, which is something that a lot of people haven't really heard about. But edge computing is gaining some traction. It's the technology that allows processing data closer to the source and reducing the latency of transmitting of information and knowledge, and the response time, which is really critical. And where this is important is how it reduces the amount of latency. Edge computing allows data processing to occur closer to the source of where that data or where that information is generated. So from a news standpoint and media standpoint, as devices become connected, which is what edge technology is all about, information can flow more freely, and we can have access to more information, which limits the way that people in power control information, right? And so this is really important. It also advances bandwidth efficiency, which is the processing data locally instead of sending it to a cloud or a central location to be disseminated. So it's really important because it allows all of us as citizens to get information and data more rapidly. And this will minimize the effect of other people controlling data, which is important to all of us. So that's what I want to talk about today with regard to technology and science.
Absolutely wonderful. Thank you for bringing up these current things, Carl. And it is so important for us to understand, folks, that with AI taking out a lot of the work that we are going to be doing in the future, and also generative AI coming in, there's an exciting future ahead for us. Let's not get freaked out over AI is going to take over all our jobs. Heck no. It is going to make our life easier by providing us with more resources and providing us with some more time to actually do some things that we would love to have time to do. More work-life balance for us going up also. And technology should not be a fear factor for us. Don't let people freak you out by saying, oh, everything is going to be taken over by robots. We already have some robots in place now. They're called as the MAGAs. Okay? They just follow whatever the master is telling them. And suddenly, now they are realizing that their master is just taking them out for a ride every single day. And they've been following the Pied Piper all the way into the ocean. This is a fascinating time for us to live in, folks. And Carl,
Mohammed.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, Mohammed, you bring up a good point. AI is a tool, right? These are all tools that technology provides for us. But we can't allow ourselves not to think, right? It's all about making sense, making your own decisions, listening to what's out there, getting the information, and then making the right choices for yourself, right? Not just following like you say, like lemmings over the edge just because you heard it on the news. I mean, we still have to think, and I think all these tools give us more opportunity to really think about what's going on.
Yeah, as long as our education system steps up to the task, Reed and Carl, Ken. Our educational system is so outdated over here. It is amazing how bad our education system is. That's not to say that Trump is doing a great job by knocking out the Department of Education. That is a stupid move, if you ask me. That should be reformed, not run by somebody who used to run the WWF or something, right? Or was it WWE? Okay, or WTF? I don't know, man. I mean, we are living in such a surreal world right now that we got people coming off who have been doing TV shows as our Secretary of Defense. Okay, I can get myself. Is being dismembered in front of her face, okay? And let's not take it lying down. Reed, if you can continue the conversation, I think I may have lost my signal over here.
Yeah, I think we have.
You're back on.
Let's share for a moment.
Okay, great.
Okay. Well, I wanted to add a couple of things.
I lost my signal for a while because I'm pretty sure I'm being monitored now, guys, okay? So,
you know what? Stephen Colbert has an extra guest room in his lodge out on the island, so you can join him.
oh boy. Okay, I do have some cousins in Canada that I could migrate to.
Yeah, I got a few friends up there too. I've been talking to a lot lately. I wanted to add a couple of points to what Ken was talking about with regard to that budget bill, that horrendous budget bill that was passed last week. When it comes to the area of energy, what we want in our country is we want abundant energy, right? And we want it cheap. And we want it that it doesn't emit a bunch of greenhouse gases that are warming up our planet. So we've got the ability to do that. We've got the sun, wind, geothermal, even nuclear. And in some of the cases, like for sun and wind energy, the cost of that has gone down like 90% between 2010 and 2020. So it makes every bit of sense to emphasize and shift our national efforts to getting on this type of energy source rather than climate warming fossil fuels that are finite anyway. And yet what do? We cut out the credits for this kind of thing, or subsidies. That does not make any sense. And I also want to point out that this is class warfare, folks. We've got all this stuff, these cuts being done so that we can give a $4 trillion tax cut to the wealthy so that they can then take the money that they should have been paying in taxes fairly and lending it to the federal government in the forms of T-notes and bonds that we all have to pay interest on, I think to the tune of, it's $1 trillion per year. So the national debt is just cumulative deficits that are owned by the wealthy. And it's just this vicious cycle that is shifting the wealth from us to the wealthy.
Hey, let me interrupt you real quick. Carl, you said something that was amazing a couple weeks ago about the dinosaurs, okay, when it comes to energy. Could you repeat that for the people who weren't tuned in for that last show that you did?
Yeah, so I have a degree in geology. Why are we digging up 600 million-year-old plants and animals that derive their energy from the same source that we get it, the sun, and we're using those hydrocarbons. We're digging them up. We're putting them on trains. We're transporting them 100 miles away. We're burning them to create heat, to create steam, to turn a generator, to create electricity, and then shipping it all the way back. When we can literally produce the energy right directly from the sun. There is no lack of energy. It's all about capturing it and converting it. And by the way, nobody owns the sunlight. The richest man in Babylon did not own one ray of sunlight. It's free, renewable, inexhaustible energy, and why aren't we converting it to electricity? It makes no sense. The dinosaurs and the plants that the dinosaurs ate 600 million years ago derive their energy from the sun. So let's use that today.
Well, it's all about the money. It's all about the money, Carl. It's not about humanity or energy or anything. If we don't supply the energy by digging out those fossil fuels, our friends in the Arab world are not going to be contributing any money back to Trump and his son-in-law and his sons, and investing $20 billion or something that was invested by the Saudi sheikhs into something that Trump's son-in-law started. That is where all of this is happening, folks. This is all about the money. The heck with humanity and the environment. And look at what
Mohammed, you have solar. Mohammed, you have solar on your house. That's what we can do. That's what I'm trying to tell you. What can we do as individuals, right? Right. Capture, you have solar on your house.
Yes, and the thing is, I don't make a single dime in contribution back to Trump and his folks, right? So they don't want people to have that power by having solar on their houses, and that is why they're cutting off these subsidies, because I'm not going to make a contribution back to any of the politicians to keep them in power. And that is something that they don't want to see. That is the bottom line over there, folks. It is not about us. And look at what they have done. They have cut off funding to the department that actually monitors the weather and stuff. And now what happened? What is happening in Texas recently? Floods massive floods. We've got flooding all over the country. We've got, wildfires all over the country. Our country is losing its base, folks. We are not investing in our country and our infrastructure at all. We are going out there and we are trying to take sides and pick fights to keep this oligarch from other foreign countries in power. Because most of these people, especially in the Arab world, people often ask me, Carl, why aren't the Muslim countries doing anything to help the people in Gaza? You know why? Because all of these kingdoms that are out there are un-Islamic to begin with. There is no concept of a king in Islam. And all of these so-called kings in the Arab countries are despots who have been put in power by us so that we can continue to exploit the resources that they have and by keeping them in power. When America withdraws from any of these countries, I can tell you right now, the kingdoms will not last more than 24 hours. But that is a separate conversation that we can always have, folks. It is about 4 minutes before we end. And if you would like to join the conversation, we do have a couple of phone lines open. You can call us at 773-763-9278. And we do have a caller on the line. Jim, good morning. Let's have you join the conversation. What do you have to contribute, my friend?
Well, I wanted to talk about renewable energy and kind of the falsehood of its being able to power our civilization. A lot of people know that. First off, there's not enough. We'd have extreme energy poverty if we went to a solar wind economy, and people don't understand how insanely toxic it is to make a solar panel. Solar panels make a lot of air pollution, which is why we don't really make them that much in the United States. They're primarily made in China.
Jim, I'm going to have to shut you down right there. 98% of a solar panel is silicon, sand, glass. Okay, it is not.
Do you know how it's made? Do you know how it's made?
And by the way, the solar panels last 35 years.
Ken, hang on. Let
you are just completely off base on that one.
Ken, let us listen to Jim. Do you know what have to say, and then we can answer that. Okay.
Okay. Have you ever heard of dichlorosilane? Have you ever heard that chemical, dichlorosilane?
I have.
It's a primary step in making a solar panel. The primary step in making a solar panel is to create the silicon, put it in the gas phase, and create a gas called dichlorosilane. It's incredibly toxic, okay? In that process, you make a lot of NOx, a lot of nitrogen dioxide, which is the brown air pollution that you see in the air over Los Angeles in the olden days. So people don't know this, that making a solar panel is incredibly toxic. Yes, the starting material is inert, yes, but the chemical process of making the solar panel is insanely toxic.
All right, Jim, let me just respond to that. Okay, hold on. This is important. Okay. Take a solar panel, and how toxic can that be to make the solar panel? Okay, how toxic can it be to make that one solar panel? And then, considering that solar panel is innate for 35 years, how many gallons of gasoline do you have to burn to create that same amount of energy over those 35 years? What is more toxic to the environment? Burning thousands of gallons of gasoline or that one solar panel that was made within like 10 minutes and is going to last for 35 years? Think about it.
It's not made in 10 minutes. Have you ever been to Hemlock Semiconductor in Hemlock, Michigan, where they make dichlorosilane for making solar panels?
I missed the bus on that one. I was almost there, but
hang on one second, guys. I'm coming in between over you guys. And we've got like 1 minute to finish out the show today. But, Jim, thank you so much for listening in. Yeah, because only help each other by understanding things and having a civic conversation or a civil conversation. Thank you very much for listening, folks. Today's show was, again, a humdinger of a show. We covered a lot of topics. You can always follow us back on our website, tlschicago.com.